Welcome to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Wes the Economist and Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist, coming to you live from the Wave Beach Realty Studios in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Call us today at 843-957-3872.
The holidays are almost here, so it's time to get your financial picture wrapped up so you can have a great Christmas and a happy new year. Reach out to me at coachwestc@gmail.com to get some financial coaching.
Are you looking to buy a home in North or South Carolina? You need to reach out to Wave Beach Realty today. We are a family-owned company with over 10 years of experience in North and South Carolina and operate along the Grand Strand. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872. Hey guys, don't forget we go live every Saturday at 11 a.m. on 94.5 as well as 106.7, or you can stream us live at talkradiomb.com. This segment is sponsored by Bobby Clary State Farm. Call 843-438-6000. Bobby Clary State Farm, here to help life go right.
All right, welcome to the podcast. This week we're going to continue what we did a few weeks ago, which was wages. We were planning on talking about some of Trump's stuff with no taxes on tips and no taxes on Social Security, no taxes on overtime, and we got caught up in minimum wage and never got to them. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about no taxes on tips? So it's big for this area.
So I actually haven't heard a lot of conversation on this. So I'm just going to go. I'm just going off of my brain right here and nothing else. I've heard nothing on the outside about this right. Talk. I've heard Trump saying that no tax on tips. So one, I guess a tip is money that somebody gives you for doing a good job, and I'm somebody who's anti-taxation, and I want to be taxed as little as possible anyway.
Right.
So I would totally be fine with not taxing tips, especially when they're making less than minimum wage. They're making $3 or $4 an hour or $2 something. So now, obviously, they're already being penalized because with your tip money, especially the tips in cash, I know they're not claiming all that, but you can't do anything with that money. You can't purchase anything you can't go out and buy a house with a loan if you're not claiming your tips anyway in cash because you're not claiming them and you're not showing it as income. But I would be fine with not. Now, if you're claiming all your tips, you got to pay income tax, so there's got to be some type of tax. But if they're cash tips,
you're not claiming them anyway.
And you're not claiming them anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. So,
I guess a lot of tips now come in on credit cards, right?
Yeah, and those they automatically.
They're going to show up automatically.
Yeah. So I guess maybe it should be a lower tax rate because they're not making much of an hourly rate. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you change the tax bracket because they're tips, but.
Well, it would create, and this is one thing I don't think they've thought about, it's going to create a different segment for income that's going to have to be tracked.
Yeah.
So software and all is going to be updated, all that kind of stuff. I don't know how big a trouble it's going to be.
Right. But they're already, if you're already, I know a ton of people in the service industry, they're not claiming their cash tips. I know that. None of them.
No. Mm-mm.
So they're already getting away with a lot of free money that they're not paying taxes on.
Yeah.
So I guess the way, if I'm looking at if I'm paying taxes on the money I make, just because they're working for tips, the same way I work for commission, it's the same concept. I'm just getting commission's obviously a little bit more money, typically. But if I'm working for commission base and I don't get paid unless I sell somebody something, they're not getting paid unless they offer good service. I'm still paying taxes on that money. I guess I don't. The more I'm sitting here thinking about it, I don't know if I really have an argument to not tax them on tips.
No, I don't think there's an argument not to tax them. But I'm with you, like you said first, that I'm against taxation in general. If I can get a little foothold here, what could it lead to?
Right. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why that group of people, people working off tips, get the break. All right, don't tax me as much on commission then. Because I'm working a ton of hours for money I don't make sometimes.
Yeah.
I can work 40 hours and make $0.
We'll put that next on the list. No tax on commission.
Yeah. I'll love to see that day.
Yeah, that could be. Some people make millions of dollars on commission.
Yeah. So I don't know that'll happen. But how do you feel about it?
The people who make tips usually, not everybody, but usually are low-income people. So that's the reason I'm kind of behind it. Again, I like anything we get rid of taxes, I'm great on. Yeah. But it also has to be coupled with our new DOGE committee, department, whatever it's called.
Government efficiency.
Yeah. That they're going to have to cut cost on one side. I saw the Secretary of Treasury wants to cut the deficit to only 3% of GDP. And I thought, no, that sounds great in your economic mind that we're going to cut it down to 3%, but that still means we got a deficit. We're still spending more than we're bringing in.
Right.
We've got to balance the budget.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So I also don't think dropping these taxes on tips is going to really make that big a difference in revenue coming in.
It won't. So what if you did this though? I don't know that this works or not. Let's say you just force the all these businesses to pay $7.25 and then you tax the tips like normal.
Well, I mean, if people, and this is part of the tax, the tip culture that's happened since COVID.
Yeah.
It's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, why am I tipping somebody who's making $10 an hour at Subway?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And they ask you before they make your food.
Yeah.
What are you going to? It's extortion.
Yeah.
It literally is extortion.
Yeah.
Am I going to say no? And they're going to see that? What are they going to do to my food?
Yeah. Have you ever seen the memes where it's like it has like a somebody looking like with a mad face, and it's like the cashier's face after they spin around the iPad, and I hit no tip I tried to hit no tip because they spun the iPad around or whatever, because that's all they're doing, and they're like, you don't hit it.
Did you see the video? The guy was in the airport in one of the bigger airports and has a no attendant convenience store. I mean, literally nobody's in there.
Yeah.
You pick up stuff you want, you go up, you lay it on the thing.
Oh, I've seen those types. I've been to one of those before in the airport.
And literally on the screen it said, "You want to leave a tip?" And the guy's like,
"For who?"
What was it? Was it
the owner for being innovative?
Was it Knowles Was it Knowles or somebody? Somebody wanted a podcast.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's got himself on video looking. For who? There's nobody here, and you're asking me for tip. There's another one. It's like kind of like a Walmart checkout, and it's got this little. It looks like, I don't know if you remember the clip, the clip helper from Windows.
Oh, the little paper clip.
Yeah, the little paper clip.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It was something. It was something else.
But he had a name too. I can't remember his name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I remember him.
Clippy?
It might have been Clippy. I loved him. He was great.
But they had the same kind of thing on the pad, and they're like, "Would you like to leave a tip for such and such?"
Like, no.
Well, do you want to leave a tip for the? And he goes through like 20 people, and each time makes you feel, you sure you don't want to leave a tip for that? They've done a lot of work. And so we got into this culture that we got to leave tips to, but to me, a tip is for somebody who's not making minimum wage, who is working, like you said, for commission. And I'm okay with that. And I usually tip pretty good. If you're a good waitress, you can get as much as 50% of my check.
Yeah, there's plenty of times that I'll leave 25, 35, 40%. If you're good, like
the minimum I'll leave is 18.
Yeah,
even if you got bad service, because I know that it's still working. But you could have got a lot more, and they're probably happy with 18 because they're probably used to getting it.
Right.
But you could have made so much more. I mean, one time I went to a Mexican restaurant, and I think the bill. My wife and I got very good at eating out cheaply. Literally, this was like 10 years, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
We ate at a Mexican restaurant for literally like $8.
Yeah.
Then I left a $20 bill.
Right. So, yeah.
And that guy from then on took good care of us every time we went in.
Oh yeah. They
Alejandro.
Nice.
I really like Alejandro.
Yeah, it was probably the one over. Was it El Cerro? It was probably one of those.
This was San Jose.
Oh, in
Colombia.
Okay.
And I wish I had a San Jose down there. I have not found a Mexican restaurant. Yeah, and I've eaten in that one. It's still not quite the same as the one in Colombia.
Have you been to Adela's here in North North Myrtle Beach? They have good Mexican food.
Is that the one on Sea Mountain Highway?
No, it's right here in North Myrtle Beach. It's north, but on the right-hand side on the beach side.
I stopped there a couple times. They weren't open. Like
really?
4 or 5 years ago. They were not open.
They're good.
I'll have to try them.
Yeah, I'll have to go there and do a review.
The only one I found, should I say this on the air? There's one in North Myrtle Beach close to Soho's. I won't say the name because I don't want to call them out. You probably know who I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure the mic picked that up too, but go ahead.
Did it really?
It's like very minimal.
I understand these restaurants you're going to have a bug problem once in a while. But if my wife sees one, we're never eating there again.
Right.
First time we ate there, the food was great.
Yeah, they have good food.
But this roach come crawling across our table. It was a small one. It came crawling across our table. And I can't get back. My wife will not get back.
Yeah, I get it. But yeah, I mean, pests are a problem down here. You got to keep them heavily treated.
In a Mexican restaurant in Elgin, they were trying to start up this Mexican restaurant, and this roach comes walking. I was with a friend of mine, and this roach comes walking out, and the waiter comes by, and he just stomps it, say, "Oh, those dumb things, we can't get rid of them." Like, I don't think you should say that.
Yeah. I'm like, and I'm out. I'm out of here.
Exactly.
I got to go. Actually, I'm going to not eat or drink anything else here.
The tip culture has just got out of out of whack for me. I mean, I tip my
they want to tip on everything.
Cuts my hair, I tip waitresses. Yep. But I mean, I go in these places now, Subway, all these places, and again, I don't order anything anymore. I won't deliver anything. I don't use Uber Eats; it's too expensive for me anyway. But I don't order Domino's delivery or anything.
Yeah,
because even if I give them a good tip, does the guy think it's a good tip? And these people are idiots. I don't know if you've seen TikTok videos and all of what they do to the food when they don't get a good tip.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's terrifying. Yeah,
so, I don't trust them.
Yeah, same. This reminds me of I'm gonna have to send you this South Park. I know you don't like South Park, but there's a South Park episode where there's like a grocery store, and like at the they have like the iPad that you check out on at the grocery store, and one of the dads, his name is Randy Marsh. He's Stan's dad, Randy Marsh. He's like the funniest character, but he goes in there and they're like, "Would you like to donate $1 to whatever?" He's like, "No," and he's like, "Okay." He's like, "Are you sure you don't want to donate $1?" And then like the cashier's talking to him. He's like, "All right, just go ahead and say into the mic that you do not want to donate $1 to help hungry kids now." And like the next time he comes back into the store, he's like, "Listen, I want to go ahead and tell you, I'm not going to donate the $1 today. I just don't want you to yell it over the microphone." And there's like a cardboard cutout of like a kid with like a sandwich in its mouth. He's like, "Okay, just go ahead and pull the sandwich out of the kid's mouth since you don't want to donate $1." And he's like pulling it, and he's like, "Sorry, yeah, you got to pull really hard. He's a hungry one." Every time he goes in the supermarket, it gets more and more dramatic. I'll send you the clip, and you'll crack up. It's so funny. But they that's the same thing with the tips. How dramatic it is now.
So back to I'm okay with not taxing them because it's low income. I say low income because some of them make very good.
Yeah.
But I'm just okay with it.
It wouldn't be bad.
I don't know if you remember AOC and some other New York politicians went to New York City and proposed doing away with the tipping culture and make everybody pay minimum wage like $15, $15 to $18 an hour.
Yeah.
And it went, I don't guess it was a union, but that group of people who represented the people, the servers, real quick said, "Go away and leave us alone."
Yeah.
Because they were making a lot more than that with tips.
Right.
Leave us alone. You just go about your way. But it sounded good. They were fighting for the $100.
Of course, yeah.
But the people making tips, but the good ones, like, no, leave me alone. I'm making more than that now.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, the rest of the world laughs at us at tips. You know that, right?
The rest of the world what?
Laughs at us about tips.
Oh, they don't tip in the other countries and stuff?
Not usually. Not every country, but there's a lot of countries I see memes and videos from, especially from Europe. It's like, you Americans are idiots. Why are you tipping?
You don't have to tip in Europe? No. It's not like...
I don't know which countries, but there's some countries that don't. Okay. They don't, no tipping culture.
I need to know before I go there, so I'm not like just throwing out money.
I'll find it.
Just making it rain, and they're like, I'm like, wow, they give me great service in Italy. Why is it?
So he's also talked about not taxing overtime.
That I'd be okay with.
What's the difference?
Well, they tax it heavier though. It puts it in a different tax bracket.
Yeah, but you get it back.
They say that. I never felt like I was getting it back.
Well, that's because you make too much money.
No. Even when I was making $725, I didn't feel like I got enough back.
So that's there's this thing called the Laffer curve. Economic side note here. You can tune out for a minute for the boring part.
Yep.
A Laffer curve is from Dr. Laffer. It's not laughing.
Right, I got you.
Laffer curve. He actually appears on Fox a lot now. He's like 88 years old. Still bright as a whip. I mean, I hope I'm like that. All these economists I know, Sol, who's 93 years old, and Laffer's 88, and Milt Friedman lived to a young old age, and Hayek. I'm thinking, hopefully economics has that effect on my brain.
I hope so, yeah, because if we're doing the podcast 10 years from now and you start saying some weird stuff, I'm like, he's gone, guys. He's gone
out of here.
The lights are on, but nobody's home.
Exactly. Some people say that now. But
they say it about me now, so I can only imagine.
So the Laffer curve says that if you really want to increase tax revenue, and isn't that what we want?
Tax revenue, but not from me.
Well, but we want to increase tax revenue. So this is a combination of the tax rate and the tax rate versus tax revenue.
Okay. When life gets unpredictable, turn to a partner you can trust. At Bobby Clary State Farm, we've got you covered. Whether it's home, auto, or life insurance, we're dedicated to providing personalized coverage that fits your needs. With our friendly and knowledgeable team, navigating your insurance options have never been easier. Visit BobbyClary.com or call 843-438-6000. Bobby Clary State Farm, here to help life go right. Are you looking to buy a property in North or South Carolina and need financing assistance? Give Motto Mortgage Coastal Pros a call today. We specialize in residential loans in both North and South Carolina and can meet all your residential home loan needs. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872.
If you like the economics part of the show, then check out my podcast, Econ Sense. You can find it on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts.
You're listening to the Dollars and Cents Radio Show with Jonathan Edmond and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to send us your topics and feedback at dollarscentsgs@gmail.com.
This segment brought to you by Eisenhower Dental. Reach out to them at 843-234-3110. So if you really want to increase the tax revenue, which is kind of what they lead to, then the Laffer curve says there's a point that to do that you actually need to drop the tax rate. So I would draw it out for you, but basically think about it this way. 0% tax rate, how much revenue is the government going to get? 0%.
Yeah.
So as you grow that, you get more revenue. This theory says
people are going to spend more because of that?
Not spend more, but you're going to go out and work. I'm talking about basically income tax here.
Got it.
Okay. So you go out and work, you got to pay income tax, rate starts going up. Laffer said there's a point that there's a disincentive to work. In other words, if you continue to tax people, you're going to have less people willing to go out and work.
Yep.
And actually, as you continue to raise the tax revenue, that means tax revenue actually is going to go down. So people argue this all the time, but we have two examples of this. Reagan, when he dropped the tax rate in the 1980s, he dropped it from 7% down to 29%. Tax revenue went up. Now, the first people will tell you is, well, no, it couldn't have because we started, that's when our deficit started. Well, yeah, it did. And I actually went and looked at these numbers. It's because the Democratic Congress started spending more money. So, we were bringing in more money. After it came, the year after he dropped the rates, we went up, and we hadn't stopped since.
Yeah.
But they kept spending more money.
Right.
When Trump dropped the corporate tax revenue went up. So how does that work? Well, it's the same thing you brought up a while ago about working overtime. When you work too much overtime, what happens to your check?
They take more out of it, and it's like,
that's the flaw of the IRS, which many of them I could get into.
Oh Lord, they need to be put RFK in there. Don't worry about. We'll worry about health in a little while. Clean out the IRS first.
We need to get rid of those agents they just hired. But anyway, now, and we can have a discussion because you don't believe me on this, I know, but that money actually it's still there. But they look at your check as if you make that every pay period. So the tax rate is based on that one check, annualized across 26 pay periods, 24, 52, whatever you get.
Yeah.
So they take out the taxes. You would need to pay your taxes on that one pay period like you were making it all year.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you don't make it. So there's a disincentive to work for most people because they're like, well, if I work too much, my paycheck's actually not going to be big enough for me to be worth it.
Yeah.
Well, that does go into your fund that you paid in. So when you get your W-2, the amount you pay in is boosted up by that. So if you get a refund, then obviously that money wasn't needed. If you don't get a refund, then it wasn't needed to your overall tax burden. So that's kind of not the same thing, but the mentality is because you don't want to work overtime because you don't get as much take-home money.
Yeah.
So the Laffer curve takes that and expands it to the whole economy. When we tax people too much, there's a disincentive to work.
Yeah.
And the model, when you run the model, it says anywhere from 31 to 38% of people's income is taxed. Then there's a disincentive to work. Well, obviously income tax is not taking up that much. But he's talking about all taxes.
Right.
And you start thinking about all the taxes you pay. Payroll tax, you're paying 8.5%. Which you're really paying, 7.5%. Which you're really paying 15% because your employer's matching it. That's money they could give you if you hadn't.
Yeah.
If you didn't have to take it out.
Yeah.
So that's 15% of your money. Take out another 10 to 15% for income tax, you're at 30. We hadn't even got to property tax. We hadn't got to user tax, sales tax, gas tax. I can keep going. So I definitely believe we're still in the part of the Laffer curve that if we would actually drop taxes, tax revenue would go up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What blows my mind is as many ways as we're taxed that we could still be in as much debt as we are. Like you're going to tax me on money I make. That money that you tax me on when I made it, you're going to tax me when I spend it.
Yep.
And then you're going to tax the business on the money that they made.
Yep.
And then you're going to tax them again when they pay the people with the money that they made that you taxed.
Yeah. It's out of control.
It's honestly
and we
amazing.
Started the Revolutionary War over what? A 1%, 2% tax on tea?
Yeah. How would you feel about a flat tax?
I'd like it.
Just a flat income tax.
Flat income tax and exempt anybody making less than $40,000-$50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Because right now, 50% of the taxpayers pay 98% of the overall tax rate.
I
so
believe
people 50% below, they don't pay hardly any taxes if any at all.
Right.
So I'm good with the flat tax, and to just exempt. First thing people say is, well, the poor can't afford it. Well, we'll just exempt them out, just like we do now. They don't pay anything now.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, 50 grand under that.
Yeah.
You just submit your W-2 showing that you made the 50 grand. Anything you paid in, you get back, or just don't take anything out.
Yeah.
It's probably better to give them the refund than it is to.
I guess.
Well, I don't know.
I don't like the government using my money all year interest free, because if I'm late paying them, they sure charge me interest and penalties. But they keep your refund is because you paid too much in over the year, and they're going to give it back to you as a refund.
Right. Okay. That's why they do it, though, because they use it, invest it, make money off of it, and then pay you back. In theory,
but we're in debt so much.
Right. I was they just blow. Yeah, they're not. They clearly lost sight of what that meant. Yeah.
That's what banks do too, when they hold your checks for days and weeks at a time, which they don't have to anymore because of the Fed.
You know what? You know what? I'm not going to call the bank out. You know what? One of my banks started doing. So I did a mobile deposit the other day, and there was a slider on like the little mobile deposit app where they would make the deposit available immediately. I had that option to make it available right then.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the whole deposit. It was a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
But it was $100 fee.
Oh, great.
We're
just seeing like Venmo does. Venmo, you can have your money right away, but we're going to charge you 1 to 3%.
I don't even use Venmo. I don't know. I use PayPal and Zelle. I don't use Venmo or Cash App.
Zello's right too, isn't it? It doesn't.
Zelle's just free. It's just bank to bank transfer.
Yeah. The Venmo, when you send cash to somebody,
and it's instant.
When you get in your account, you can transfer it for free for 1 to 3 days because they're using your money for 1 to 3 days.
Yeah.
Or you can actually send it right now and be instantaneous, but there's a fee for it.
Right.
Same thing your bank's doing. $100. Wow. That bank's making enough money already.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, people put a lot of money in them because they want a good return.
Yeah.
So the last one I've heard about is Social Security. No taxes on Social Security. I'm
okay with that.
I don't know why we're taxing in the first place.
I was ready to say, what's the point of taxing it? Why do people pay into this socialist program that you installed that's bankrupt?
Yeah.
And you're going to tax them on it? Like, why would you tax them on it?
Yeah.
It's money they paid in. You collected it already. You're giving it back to them in small increments until they die, and you're banking on the fact that they die before you pay them and that you made money on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're basically a life insurance policy.
Exactly. So I want to say we were not charging taxes until
South Carolina doesn't tax it.
That's good.
State-wise.
When did we start taxing Social Security? Because I don't think it used to be taxed, but then
they'll find a way to tax everything.
Oh yeah.
At least be solvent, solvent. If you're going to take all my money.
Well, I would argue it's never been solvent.
Yeah.
And that's that when they wrote up the Social Security bill in the 1930s, the people who wrote it up said this will be fine as long as there's not too many people over the age. We talked about this before, haven't we? You had to be 60 years old to draw Social Security in 1930s.
It's like 65 now, or 63 and a half, or something.
67 for you.
Is it?
They moved it up.
I'm not counting on Social Security. I'm looking at other options.
I'm 57. I don't count on it. But the thing of it was 60 back then. Guess what life expectancy was?
60, 61?
59 and a half.
59 and a half.
Now, you take infant mortality out. That's the first people argue about. Infant mortality, you take it out.
Yeah.
60 and a half.
Okay.
So literally, you're supposed to live 6 months on Social Security.
Right.
So now 65 for people retiring right now. 60. Well, it's actually a sliding. Anybody after 60, I think it's a sliding scale. So those people are moving to my brother. To get his full outlay would have to be 67.
Yeah,
he was born in 1960.
Okay.
So
yeah, my dad was born in 55. He's been collecting. The first year he was collecting, he was working like a part-time job, but he couldn't make more than like 19,000.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Why would you not let him work?
Exactly.
He's paying taxes on that money. I don't understand that.
And I think it's because there was some time. When did we start charging taxes on Social Security? Because it's when let's ask Siri. Taxing Social Security. Good for the podcast to have dead air.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah, taxing it's just crazy though. I just don't understand that.
Find it right away.
I'd rather at this point. I'd rather you not. You should be able to opt out of paying into it. Like I don't want to pay into it because I know I'm not going to get it.
Well, there was some plans in the past to actually privatize it to let you do that. One I saw years ago was anybody over 50 would get it. Anybody under 50 there'd be tax incentives and all for you to prepare for your own
because that money that I'm paying into it, I don't get it back with interest. It's just the exact amount, right? I would never get more than what I paid in, right?
Oh yeah, you do. Oh, definitely.
Over 30, or you think?
Because of how long you live.
I mean,
I know some 94 years old. I know some 94-year-olds.
I guess if you live 30 years past,
the whole point was you wasn't supposed to get it.
Right.
You literally, it was made so, and it's in the name. It's Social Security.
Yeah.
It's security for those people who outlive their life.
Yeah.
But now we think of it as a retirement plan.
Right.
And something you're supposed to live a half year on, now we're trying to live 12, 15 years on. It doesn't work that way.
I learned in a few books I read early on that Social Security is not something you bank on or look at as a retirement.
1975, the program was expanded. 1982, the fund ratio was down to a mere 15%. This is this lock. I would argue there's never been a lockbox. There was surplus in that account for so many years, but as people started retiring, it went away. I mean, literally, the people who paid into it to begin with were paying money out to those people who were over the age.
I think that my S corp structure, how I pay myself, actually, don't I avoid Social Security that way if I don't pay myself?
I don't think so.
Because my company, as my S corp's not paying into Social Security. Is it?
Okay. Well,
I think that's where I save money.
15% unemployment tax. 15% self-employment tax.
Mm-hmm.
That's FICA. It's kind of disguised.
Yeah. Okay.
And if an accountant's listening, you can give me more information on.
I'm saving somewhere, and I think it was the Social Security is where I save money because I don't pay myself a big salary.
As a minister, you could opt out of it if you declared a life of poverty. I never did that. And you could make adjustments where you could save money by having a housing allowance, but all of it ended up costing me more money, so I don't know how it helped. Maybe I just didn't know how to do the system right.
Right.
But I'm with you. Why are we taxing something they've already been taxed on?
Yeah, it's silly.
They're the elderly. Let them keep their money. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Why do we limit them? When they get 65, they should work as much as they want, still get the Social Security.
Like why? Who cares if they want to still work? Let them work and still give them their Social Security, just because they're still paying into it at that point if they're still working.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're making them. It's like invest the Social Security money in something that has a good return on it if you want, instead of whatever you're blowing it on.
This all makes too much sense. We're talking about Washington.
I know, but these are the people that we're supposed to trust to keep our government running.
There's the problem right there. We should never trust them.
We should never trust them. I know. I don't trust them. But I'm saying, in theory,
I like Dan Bongino says they're just people to accomplish stuff. We've turned it into a popularity contest too much.
Yeah.
And it should be just, okay, what policies are they going to pass to make my life better?
Yeah.
Now, everybody's going to argue about that. People want Social Security type of stuff and social programs, but I think they make things worse.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a big proponent of nobody's going to make your life any different except you, and that the government should have as little involvement as possible, and that you're never going to wake up one day and the government's passed some crazy things that just all of a sudden make you richer or your life that much better. It will never happen. Yeah. There's things that they'll do that can make life easier and can make more sense and give you better avenues, but you still have to go down those avenues. You still have to go down those paths. You still have to do everything you need to do as a person to be successful or to have whatever you want in life. The government will never, ever.
Ronald Reagan quote, scariest words in the English language.
I'm the government. I'm here to help you.
I'm for the government. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Did you see where one of Biden's officials quoted him in some meeting? He was promoting government help, and so he said, even President Reagan said in his famous quote, "I'm from the government. I'm here to help you," and that's what we're here to do.
Geez. In his defense, he doesn't know.
I won't say X-Files. Twitter. I still have to call him Twitter. Just went ballistic.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah.
I think they get enough taxes.
They get plenty of taxes. I mean, they're not doing anything good with it now. Why stop taking it? You're not doing anything good with it.
Right now, in the last 12 months, they brought in $5 trillion in taxes. Mm-hmm. And from that, they brought in $2.3 trillion from income tax, $1.6 from payroll tax revenue, which is FICA, which is your Social Security and Medicare. Mm-hmm. Excise tax, $84 trillion. Corporate tax, $479 billion. Tariff, $69 billion. And state and gift tax alone was $30 billion. To me, that's crazy. Why are you taxing somebody who died?
I know. I think there's ways to avoid some of that in trusts and things like that. But most people don't understand that.
Yeah. So, and right now, just so you know, they brought in about $15,000 per person last year, per citizen. That means babies and all too. So that's just a number. Thumbnail. Oh, excuse me. The debt per citizen is $106,000 per person of the national debt. And then if you only count these people who are actually paying taxes, $272,000 per person. That's how much the national debt would take from everybody. So it's a depressing note. We'll go in there.
Yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap that up. I have no further questions.
You have no further questions.
My case rests.
We will see y'all next time.
Next time.
Eisenhower Dental, located at 107 Waccamaw Medical Park Drive in Conway, a place where you can find all your dental services, including general dentistry, cosmetic, restorative, and pediatric dentistry. Reach out to them today at their website, eisenhowerdental.com, or call them at 843-234-3110, 843-234-3110, and tell them Wes the Economist sent you.
Thanks for listening to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to send us your topics and give us feedback at dollarscentsgs@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and X at dollarscentsgs. You can follow us on Facebook at Dollars and Cents. Listen to us on the podcast format at Dollars and Cents Podcast, and you can also find us on YouTube at the Dollars and Cents Podcast. Are you looking to buy a home in North or South Carolina? You need to reach out to Wave Beach Realty today. We are a family-owned company with over 10 years of experience in North and South Carolina and operate along the Grand Strand. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872.
The holidays are almost here, so it's time to get your financial picture wrapped up so you can have a great Christmas and a happy new year. Reach out to me at coachwesc@gmail.com to get some financial coaching.